Part 387. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu. Chapter 3861. Sometimes I really can't stand this guy. It doesn't matter whether there is any danger ahead, anyway, it's just like this rampage. What is it for? Then what to do? Just let him slander my apprentice like this. How can this work? It's fine if I die, my apprentice can't be involved. The great Uncle G's love for his disciples has never changed. Of course we can't let him be so slanderous. But you can't be as reckless as you. Otherwise something will happen. I don't believe it. He is talking empty teeth, but he can still say that the sky is coming. The students of my Guangming Academy can't be bullied by anyone who wants to be bullied. The big deal is just being tough. Shui Wanren snorted coldly, looking very domineering at the moment, fully controlling the rhythm. While talking at the moment, his sharp eyes swept forward, followed by strides forward. Saint Wang. Nonsense is not a good habit. Snort. You can't talk nonsense about things that have no basis. Fang Fan is a student of my Guangming Academy. Are you accusing the entire Guangming Academy? Shui Wanren, deputy head of the Guangming Academy, snorted coldly, and then the endless brilliance in his eyes flickered fiercely. Between the words, various gestures are in place. Vice Palace Master Shui. Snort. You mean, this saint is lying? This saint is not so despicable. There are 2 weak demigod guards of the Protoss beside Fang Fan of your Guangming Academy. Is this always true? If he wasn't a spy of the Protoss, why would the Protoss send 2 weak demigods to guard him? The evidence is as solid as a mountain. If you want to wash it, I'm afraid it's not that easy. The cold snort was fully displayed. Wang Tu, the first-class sage of Guangming Academy, was staring at Fang Fan at this moment, intending to kill him. The evidence is as solid as a mountain. Where is the ironclad evidence? Are you going to lie before the Pope? Who said that if there is a demigod guard of the gods, it must be a spy of the gods? These people are all recruited by me from the Protoss. They want to yearn for the light in our camp of light. Is there anything wrong with submitting to me like this? If I remember correctly, the teachings of our Guangming Academy should be teaching without discrimination, regardless of race, and comprehensive absorption, right? As long as they have a bright faith, they are all among us. Sage Wang rejects them so much, is there some ulterior secret in his heart? The snorts gradually increased. It is useless to say more than this. This time, it has been expressed very clearly. What to say, what to do, there should also be an established charter. The next game is also slowly expanding. According to the established procedures, a full thrust. What secret can I have? The mouth grows on you, so you can justify it however you want. But facts speak louder than words. You have become a spy of the Protoss, and now you are not only guarded by the demigods of the Protoss, but you have also taken away the precious divine ladder. What? Do you want to contribute to the Protoss in exchange for their trust in you? Your little thought, I have already seen it clearly. Snort. Do you still want to hide it? Overreach. The cold snort swept to the extreme, and his consciousness gradually became deeper. Needless to say about everything else, such beliefs have already exploded in place. The rhythm is steady. Conscious. Wang Tu's eyes flickered with endless murderous intent, and he already regarded Fang Fan as someone who must be killed. Fang Fan stood there, his eyes flickering slightly, he didn't speak for a while, and his thoughts suddenly sank. God ladder. I've delivered the divine ladder to Saint Wang in public before and kept it. Master Saint, many people saw it at that time. What? You lost it? Or, in order to curry favor with the Devil Sky Saint in the Dark Temple, You gave him the divine ladder. Fang Fan's eyes widened, with a look of disbelief on his face. If you want to drag me into the water, then I can drag you into the water. Anyway, the situation is like this now, and there is no need to entangle with those who are missing. Between each other, just start all kinds of fighting blindly. On the whole, it is quite in line with various real scenarios. It's relevant and true. It is more than words. In this way, it suddenly became stable. The thoughts gathered here, and the brilliance in the eyes flickered frantically. Rhythm, burst. Wang Tu. How on earth did you have the nerve to say those words? This last face, really don't want it? Ah. Let shameless, keep going. Good guy, really good guy. Can you hold on to that thing in your brain a little bit? Otherwise, there will be problems, you know. If it goes on like this, who can hold back? Rhythm, completely broken, you know. You are talking nonsense. When did you give me the divine ladder? Don't talk nonsense. Now I, the Holy One, is exposing you. Wang Tu was trembling with anger, his eyes became extremely cloudy, and now he was staring fiercely ahead, and the sound of grinding his teeth became sharper. Such a heart, let alone talk to anyone. It has always seemed so appropriate. Furious, Wang Tu rushed towards Fang Fan's location crazily, obviously wanting to kill Fang Fan directly. Shui Wanren and Grand Uncle Ji hurried forward to guard. Why? Is this trying to kill someone? Can't wait so soon. You don't want others to know that you swallowed the divine ladder. Fang Fan asked 3 times in a row, word by word. Enough. At the same time, there was a muffled cold snort, followed by Wang Tu's body that was launching a crazy attack, froze on the spot, then trembled in the air, and then fell down crazily. The Pope, His Holiness the Pope. You must not listen to this kid's nonsense. This kid has no good intentions from the beginning to the end. Absolutely, absolutely kill him. Otherwise, or something will happen. Your Majesty the Pope, your loyalty to you can be learned from the sun and the moon. Wang Tu took a deep breath. In front of Yuan Hanlin, Pope of the Temple of the Light Alliance, he naturally did not dare to make any unwarranted actions. At this moment, the body curled up, and the sound of breathing gradually became rapid. A heart suddenly became completely messed up. His mental state collapsed on the spot, and his hesitant eyes suddenly condensed in front of his eyes. It is more than words. Very real and very relevant. I didn't say you were unfaithful. You don't have to think about it. You are all making noise here, how can I know the truth? If there is a conflict, it will be fine to resolve it slowly. If there is a disagreement, just make it clear. Why do you fight like this? Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 3862. Bright Pope Yuan Hanlin spoke very slowly. On the surface, he looked like an unpretentious old man, and he seemed to have a kind face. Just being able to take charge of such a huge temple of the Alliance of Light, how could he be a soft-hearted person? If you are really deceived by his appearance, you are really stupid. His Holiness the Pope is well. I stole this sacred ladder from the Lord's mansion of the Protoss Tianlin city. At that time, I was going to bring the ladder to dedicate it to the Temple of the Alliance of Light and to His Majesty the Pope. Relying on my own strength, naturally I couldn't successfully steal the divine ladder from the Tianlin City Lord's mansion, so I bribed these 2 weak demigods of the Protoss Tianlin City in advance. They were suppressed in Tianlin City. As soon as they were lured by me, they joined my subordinates and joined the Camp of Light. When we brought the God ladder out of the God clan Tianlin City, we were hunted down by the God clan. It's fine if it's just the Protoss chasing and killing, but we can still hold on. When I was about to approach Yuanqi Shencheng, Wang disciples killed me somehow, blocked my way, and even threatened to kill me. At that time, I thought about it. Rather than letting the sacred ladder fall into the hands of those gods, it would be better to hand it over to Wang. At least the Saint Wang is the pillar of our Temple of Light Alliance. He got the ladder, and he will naturally donate it to the Pope. Afterwards, when those God clan practitioners saw that the divine ladder fell into the hands of Saint Wang, they attacked him. This is why Saint Wang's body is covered with scars. At that time, the battle was too fierce, and I was afraid that it would affect me, so I came back early. Every word Fang Fan said is the truth. At that time, Shui Wanren and Wu Meiling, the deputy masters of Guangming Academy, went to pick me up in person, and they can all testify. Every time I utter a lie, I will be hit by thunder and thunder. The true God hates it. I will directly descend to the 18th floor of hell and suffer endless karma and humiliation. Fang Fan stiffened his neck. What he said was so righteous. Such a posture has been fully manifested, the rhythm is clear, and the consciousness is clear. In general, that's all. Such a gesture, let alone tell anyone. There seems to be a feeling that sinks the whole body and mind. For a moment, my lips were trembling, speechless, inattentive, and I didn't know what to say at this moment. Anxious heart, let alone talk to anyone. Guangming Pope Yuan Hanlin listened silently, and did not express any opinion at the first time, but frowned, with a thoughtful expression on his face, as if he was thinking about the authenticity of this matter in his heart. Gudong. Wang Tu, the first-class saint in the Temple of the Alliance of Light, was in a panic at the moment. He felt that his way forward was completely blocked. This guy wants to kill himself directly. Hateful. Damn it. These words sound quite true, but, the essence is not like this. Judging by the appearance of the Pope, it seems like he really believes it. Over. It's over. If His Majesty the Pope really believed it, how could he come? At that time, wouldn't it just follow the blood collapse? With this in mind, the sweat dripped down from his forehead. At this moment, the sound of breathing followed, and the eyes flickered. Is this considered lifting a rock and breaking your own foot? I thought I could take off with the momentum, but now I'm fine. A big mouth slapped me viciously, and I was directly slapped in a daze. What else can I say now? The whole person fell into an extremely messy state. The more I think about it, the more confused I feel. No. You can't let this kid talk like that. This kid obviously has a sharp tooth. If you keep talking like this, I'm completely finished. At that time, I will land in the land of eternal doom. Whirring. Hold on, be sure to hold on. Gudong. I want to win the trust of the Pope. Yes. It would be okay if I could kill this bastard directly, and then I would feel relieved. It's just that it seems a bit difficult to kill him under the prying eyes of so many people. Call. Wang Tu, the first hero, is it possible that I will be controlled by this little thief? Ridiculous. A joke. What a joke. Wang Tu clenched his fists viciously, his brows were furrowed at this moment, his eyes were full of murderous intent, as if he wanted to completely wipe out everything in front of him. With such a heart, it seemed real for a while. The rhythm is stable, the consciousness is clear, and everything is like this. Your Majesty the Pope. It's useless to listen to him say so much. Just search and find out. At that time, what this kid gave me was a false god ladder. The real god ladder is still on him. This kid is insidious and cunning. Don't be fooled by him. This son is full of despicableness. So, we must seize the opportunity and kill it directly. Your Majesty the Pope. Wang, are loyal to the Temple of the Alliance of Light. I am even more devoted to you. Wang Tu still wants to play the emotional card again. For this emotional card, it is really beneficial to play a dozen sometimes. But if this thing is played too much, it will seem meaningless. After all, it's all like this. What's the point? Doesn't the brain buzz and tremble all of a sudden? Guangming Popuan Hanlin frowned, and he couldn't help but look a little displeased for a while when he heard the old-fashioned words. Talking too much. There is too much nonsense. Act like everyone owes you. Okay. Stop talking nonsense. The Pope checked just now, and the divine ladder is not on Fang Fan's body. Wangtu, are you so swearing just now that the magic ladder is on Fang Fan's body? The Pope glanced at Wangtu, looking quite dissatisfied. The reason why he arrived at Yuanxi Divine City so quickly, in the final analysis, was for the divine ladder. He saw the phantom of the divine ladder and the phantom of the exquisite palace before, and he was stunned at that time, and then his whole body couldn't help but surge into place, and the endless brilliance in his eyes flickered across the board. Excitement, surging, burst of consciousness, everything is in words. It feels quite exciting. This. It stands to reason that it's on him. Even if it's not on him, this divine ladder has something to do with him. I see, he must have hidden the divine ladder in advance. He gave it to someone else for safekeeping. Just to prevent us from probing. Yes. That's it? That's it? Wangtu is still making the last effort. He was not reconciled to being declared a failure like this. And absolutely unwilling to admit defeat. At this moment, there are endless flashes of light in the eyes, and the sound of breathing is extremely rapid. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 3863. I need the exact thing. These fundamentally inaccurate things, what is the meaning of talking to the Pope? Snort. Bright Popuan Hanlin seemed even more dissatisfied. I thought I would get a magic ladder right away, but who knew that everything was just a bamboo basket fetching water in vain. Looking at the past, there is nothing. Naturally, I will feel a little unlucky in my heart. Your Majesty the Pope. Trust me, you must believe me. I won't lie. Really, really so. Your Highness, you must not believe me. Your Majesty the Pope. This son is insidious and cunning. We must kill him as soon as possible. Leaving it to the future must be a great disaster. Your Majesty the Pope. The excited yells are in place, and the trembling lips show the panic and numbness in his heart. While talking at the moment, the expression of helplessness on his face was beyond words. Mentality, blood collapse on the spot. Conscious, messy spot. At this moment, I feel restless all over my body and mind. Saint Wang, you said earlier that I gave you the false god ladder. Then tell me, where is the false god ladder now? Why don't you take it out and confront it face to face, and see if I gave you that fake magic ladder? Fang Fan continued to launch a fierce attack. Now that you've already ripped off your face, it doesn't matter at all. You attack me, but it is quite real. Between each other, there is quite a willpower to fight to the end. Burst. Go all out. Sprint. For a moment, you are directly invincible. False god ladder, I. Wangtu pursed his lips at this moment. He was a little speechless for a while, and his heart almost exploded at this moment. Damn it! Isn't this forcing yourself? Asshole. All assholes. Too bad. Shameless, despicable, and obscene. The more I think about it, the angrier I get, and the more I think about it, the more depressed I feel. The false divine ladder is long gone. Also take a few. Now that even the most basic evidence is gone, how can we win this lawsuit? Now Wang Tu was annoyed, his whole body was trembling crazily, and his nose was almost crooked with anger. What a jerk! Just now, what should we do? The more I think about it, the more dizzy I feel. Looking at the surroundings numbly at this moment, I don't know what to do with it. Difficult to go to the blue sky. Saint Wang. You said it brilliantly just now, it won't, you can't even take out a fake god ladder. Have you not even prepared for this? Even if you come out as a fake god ladder. Fang Fan sighed, and specially strengthened his tone. Next, just follow this rhythm. If you want to cheat me, I will naturally cheat you too. This principle is so true. When I was going to give it to motion, it was proved to be a false ladder, so I burned it. How can I get it out? You little bastard, you want to talk to me? It's a good idea. His Holiness the Pope is here. The Pope is just and impartial. In desperation, Wang Tu couldn't help but start talking nonsense. Speaking of which, this guy's brain may be a bit difficult to use. Now at this time, dare to say anything. This chirping and crooked gesture, that proud posture, seemed very real. All of a sudden, all kinds of ritual senses followed. This can also be said to be a hammer. The rhythm is out of order. It's all gaudy, and you still want to toss around. The point is, there is no such capital. Your Majesty, I'm done asking. Master Wang Tu Saint himself admitted that he handed over this divine ladder to the demon Sky Saint of the Dark Temple. It seems that there is really a close relationship between Lord Wang Tu Saint and the Devil Sky Saint of the Dark Temple. Even treasures like the divine ladder can be shared with each other. Fang Fan shrugged and said calmly. At this time, a few handfuls of eye drops are in an excellent state. Just like in front of you, it doesn't seem too real. For a moment, his thoughts flew to the extreme. Very real and very comfortable. The rhythm slowly followed and stabilized. Wang Tu. What the hell am I being fooled again? Is my IQ so low? Colluding with the Saint of the Dark Temple, Wang Tu knows exactly what the crime is. This is even worse than being a Protoss spy. The Protoss must be out of reach. And it's only now that we're getting in touch. And the battle between the Temple of Darkness and the Temple of the Alliance of Light has lasted for an unknown number of epochs. Rebellion, how serious is this? A first-class saint of the Temple of the Light Alliance rebelled, and the impact was too great. The Guangming Pope Yuan Hanlin finally paid attention, and his lingering eyes swept across Wang Tu. You, explain clearly why you want to give the ladder to the Dark Temple. What's the relationship between you and the Dark Temple motion? Have you already joined the Demon Slayer? For so many years, you have disguised yourself very well. The bright Pope Yuan Hanlin began to question Wang Tu at this moment. Now Wang Tu can't wait to smash his head directly on the ground. Injustice. What a shame. Now Yuan Hanlin feels that he is really about to be wronged to death. I was supposed to come here to complain. Now that you're messing around, you're making yourself look like the heinous bastard? What kind of nonsense is this? At this moment, the more I think about it, the more I get a headache, the more I think about it, the more my mind collapses, and for a while, the whole person goes crazy. Numb. It's completely numb. The Pope, His Holiness the Pope. Listen to my explanation. Things are definitely not what you imagined. I have no reason to join the Dark Temple. I am already a first-class saint in the Temple of the Alliance of Light, but if I go to the Temple of Darkness, will they still be able to give up the position of Pope? I have your trust, why should I switch to another party? You must know this truth. As for why I took out the fake god ladder to motion, it was mainly because I was surrounded by those demigods of the Protoss at the time, and there were dozens of demigods of the Protoss. The subordinates couldn't resist it at all. At this time, the subordinates can only ask for foreign aid, and it happens that motion is next to him, so I will pick him. Whoa, probably the case. As for the rest of them, there is no such thing at all. It was only after I took out the divine ladder that I realized it was fake. Your Majesty, you must trust me. I was also dying, and I really had no choice, so I made such an expedient policy. I was thinking of handing over the divine ladder to motion first, and then take it back after I get out of trouble. Your Majesty the Pope. Wang Tu felt that his throat was going to dry up, and now he was staring numbly at the front, feeling more and more exhausted. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 3864. You can still live if the sky does evil, but you can't live if you do evil yourself. It's so real. At this moment, Wang Tu was sweating all over his body. If His Majesty the Pope doesn't believe in himself and slaps him with a slap, he will be completely finished. This His Majesty the Pope looks benevolent on the surface, but he is actually sinister in his heart. There are more than 10 or 8 dirty things done in these years. If the Pope really wanted to kill him, his old life of Wang Tu would most likely be discarded here. His thoughts were messy, and his consciousness gradually became a little less clear. The more you think about it, the deeper your feelings become, and everything goes without saying. Fear, worry, panic, these emotions suddenly surged up, making people breathless. Now it depends on the attitude of the bright Pope Yuan Hanlin. Madness. Greedy for life and afraid of death. So, the one you handed over to the Dark Temple, is it the real God ladder or the fake God ladder? If what you handed over to the Dark Temple is the true God ladder, isn't the God ladder just over there? If what you handed over to the Dark Temple was a false God ladder, wouldn't the real God ladder still be on you? Or, this so-called theory of the divine ladder is false from the source. It's just that I didn't check clearly at the beginning. Bright Pope Yuan Hanlin squinted his eyes, and immediately conveyed this possibility. While talking, his eyes flickered with brilliance, and everything was said in silence. With such a feeling, the sweep is in place, and the idea becomes more and more appropriate. The more you think about it, the deeper the feeling becomes. That's pretty much it. It's kind of true. This. Wang Tu, the first-class saint in the Temple of the Alliance of Light, understood some implication. This Pope wants to protect him. It's just that under the public view, His Holiness the Pope can't bias him too much, so to a certain extent, he only gave comprehensive hints and pointers. Just like it is now, all aspects of the words are in place, and it seems true. If he, Wang Tu, said that he handed over the true God ladder to the Dark Temple or hid the true God ladder privately, then he would not be able to escape the responsibility. Your Majesty, maybe it's really my old eyes that are dim, so, that's why I can't see very clearly. This divine ladder was originally taken from the Protoss. The gods are extremely treacherous, they must have come to deceive us with a fake God ladder. Yes. It must be so. If this is not the case, there is no second reason. Your Majesty, that's the way it is. Your Majesty the Pope, this subordinate proposes to prepare the army for war. Slay the Protoss. Now Wang Tu can only talk nonsense with his eyes open. If I knew this earlier, why bother? If I had known earlier that I would get burned, I would have just shut up. It's okay now, because I talked too much nonsense, and I gradually became uncomfortable. Thinking of this, the whole person suddenly became extremely unhappy. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became, and the more he thought about it, the more ugly his face became. With trembling lips at this moment, everything is silent. At present, in order to save his own life, Wang Tu had no choice but to smash his teeth and swallow it inside himself. This bitter fruit was decided by him from the very beginning, so everything will collapse completely. Can't pay, Absolutely can't mess up. The moment destroys everything. A myriad of thoughts, confused consciousness, rhythmic gradually pulling hips. Snort. You are the first-class saint of the temple. You are in charge of the millions of troops stationed in the Yuanqi God City, and you are so careless. You should reflect on yourself. You don't want to take on the position of presidential marshal anymore. You don't have the ability. Do your own thing well, don't be so biased anymore. The cold snort swept across, and the bright Pope Yuan Hanlin looked gloomy. Up to now, it's still nothing to fetch water from a bamboo basket. So restless. In the eyes of this bright Pope, there are naturally not many treasures that he can see clearly, and this divine ladder is definitely the most important thing among them. Now that he has reached his position, no matter if it is his cultivation, reputation, or position, he has all climbed to the pinnacle of this world. It is no longer possible to climb up now, and it is very embarrassing to see it. And the divine ladder is the hope for him to obtain a comprehensive new life. What is he spending his whole life for? Isn't it just that he wants to enter the God's domain, take a look in the God's domain, and see if he has the opportunity to meet the so-called true God with his own eyes? Even, join their camp. This thought trembled wildly in his mind, and he couldn't let it go for a while. The more he thought about it, the more exciting he became, and the more he thought about it, the more excited he became. Gradually, his face became extremely flushed, and the sound of his breathing gradually became extremely rapid. Excited heart, trembling hands, you can only know if you have really felt it. The whole body melts directly on the spot. Slowly, I have tasted the marrow and tasted it. The excitement is boundless. Isn't that what you want? With thousands of thoughts and confused consciousness, isn't this what you want? The excitement cannot be increased. Bright Pope Yuan Hanlin pondered, his sharp eyes scanned the surrounding area, and then exhaled a foul breath. Everyone is on standby, looking for the magic ladder. Those who voluntarily turn in the divine ladder will be rewarded by the Pope. The God ladder is an important link to communicate with the true God. If our light camp can obtain the God ladder, we can use this as a basis to get more support from the crown of the true God. At that time, we will all get endless benefits. Now our main task is to find the divine ladder. Send several teams to the place where the phantom of the divine ladder is displayed, and investigate carefully. Bright Pope Yuan Hanlin spoke forcefully and righteously at the moment. While talking, the excitement on his face at this moment was beyond words. While speaking, the corners of his mouth mumbled slightly, his thoughts swelled in his mind, and everything was silent. With such an idea in mind, it would be even more difficult to get rid of it. At this moment, the eyes are full of phantom ladders. Follow the Pope's order. Follow the Pope's order. Follow the Pope's orders. Suddenly, everyone in the light camp began to howl, and Wang Tu was the leader among them. This corporate culture is not bad. The most depressing person today should be the Suyang disciple. Originally, he wanted to suppress Fang Fan, but he didn't expect to be suppressed instead. Well now, not only was he disgusted by the Pope, but he even lost the command of the millions of troops of the light camp stationed in Yuanqi Shenzhen. And all of this was framed by Fang Fan. They were already enemies of life and death, but now, the enmity naturally rises again. In each other's eyes, endless killing intent gathered, wishing to kill each other to their heart's content. With such thoughts surging in my heart, I couldn't grasp it for a while. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 3865. Your Majesty the Pope. Although this Fang Fan has cleared his suspicions about the divine ladder, after all, he has two weak demigods from the Protoss beside him. This is a hidden danger. Your Majesty the Pope, I suggest that these two weak demigods be killed. Otherwise, it would be too dangerous to keep them in our camp of light. If they suddenly launch a surprise attack when our vigilance is lax, we will definitely suffer heavy casualties. Wang Tu, the first-class saint in the Temple of the Alliance of Light, was grinding his teeth, and the indignation in his heart was beyond words at this moment. Even at this time, it is still difficult to cut. To be precise, this sense of indignation was strengthened invisibly. While talking at the moment, the sound of breathing could not help but become rapid. With an excited heart and trembling hands, Fang Fan's left and right hands were removed. In this way, if you want to kill him again in the future, it will not be so difficult. Thinking of this, Wang Tu, the first-class saint in the Temple of the Light Alliance, felt extremely refreshed. Cool. That's all. As long as he can make Fang Fan unhappy and make this brat feel sick, Wang Tu feels that his goal has been achieved. In fact, this can be regarded as a rehash. Does Saint Wang think that I am disloyal to the Temple of the Alliance of Light? I have a double heart for the gods of light. Yes or no? Why don't we compare how strong our faith is? Bet on your life. If my faith is weaker than yours, I will kill myself on the spot. If your belief is weaker than mine, you will judge yourself here. Fang Fan sneered, then strode out and began to break the situation. Follow the established rhythm little by little, and then ride the wind and waves, and explode in an all-round way. Such a state of mind, let alone tell anyone. Competing for faith. Bet your life. You kid is really trying to die. Who doesn't know that I, Wang, believe in the gods of light the most? If not, how could I be the saint? Ha ha ha. How could my belief be lost to a brat like you? Death. Too much death. It's the first time I've seen such a deadly person. But if you insist on dying, I can fulfill you. Tisk. Tisk tisk. Fate. This is your life. Block you completely. You must die. You must die. Your Majesty the Pope, in order to prove your innocence, please open the formation of faith. Wang Tu's eyes lit up, and he felt that this was an excellent opportunity to kill Fang Fan. Didn't it mean that life and death are determined through competition of faith? That's great. When he wins the battle of faith, we'll see how this kid dies then. I thought it would be extremely difficult to get rid of this kid again, but I didn't expect this kid to kill himself in the end. That being the case, there is nothing more to say, a dead end, already set on the spot. The more I think about it, the more excited I get. Break. Just break it right in place. Around, there are different discussions. At this moment, the situation is developing in a more lively direction. I thought this battle had come to an end, but I didn't expect this to be the climax. Thinking of this, it suddenly surged in place. Setting up the great formation of faith and conducting the battle of faith is essentially to see how long you can last under the oppression of the great formation of faith. Theoretically speaking, the longer you persist in the great formation of faith, the purer your faith will be. In addition, the longer you stay in the Yin-Yang formation, the greater the pressure of faith you will feel. If you insist on holding on, maybe you will be pushed to death directly, and then it will really be a dead end. That situation should be able to imagine how crazy it is. It has nothing to do with us. We are all watching the show. Tisk. Things that have nothing to do with me, I only feel exciting and surging. Invincible. Cool. So cool. The bloody battle to the end. Continue to fight. Do it. Just do it. Exciting. It's really exciting. My heart is agitated. Go. Go. Hey. But this Fang Fan is still a little young after all, and he actually took the initiative to compete in faith with the Saint Wang Tu. The young man is still no match for the old fritters after all. How long has this Wang disciple been in the Temple of the Alliance of Light? How long has he been here? he is influenced by the power of faith in the temple of the Alliance of Light every day. His whole person has long been different. Of course, there is no need for others say more. It's good to have a broken mentality. As for the others, who cares? It's nothing. After all, he is a hot-blooded youth. This time, he has directly slipped into the trap of that old fox, Wang Tuesday. Now, I can't see it directly. I seem to have seen the scene of the defeat. It's cold, it's completely cold, that's about it. It's great that we can watch a play or something here. You can't ask too much for this thing. Steady, you can have everything. All kinds of discussions around him couldn't help but echo in his mind, everything was kept silent. The rhythm stabilized, the consciousness collapsed, and everything else was a small problem. Teacher, are you sure you want to compete with this? Do you still believe in the gods of light? How come I don't see any faith at all? You guys dare to insult the existence of the gods, isn't it a bit too far-fetched to talk about your belief in them? Taishaji glanced at Fang Fan, and then a nervous expression appeared on his face. From his point of view, he felt that this was not a good thing. If you can't grasp it, there will be problems. This rhythm is not stable at all. What will happen by then is still unknown. I felt uneasy in my heart for no reason. For it. Master, you can't say that. 1 yard owned by a yard. Faith is a mysterious thing. Besides, the way of this belief competition is just to compare the length of time you can persist in the belief formation. What's the problem with this? If I don't want to leave the Xinjiang formation, is there anyone else who can pull me away? Fang Fan shrugged, and then said calmly from the side. There is a lot of self-confidence in this heart. Once the rhythm is stable, the others will naturally not be a problem. Tai Shuja wanted to say something more, but was interrupted by Shui Wanren. Okay. Don't you know your own apprentice? When did he suffer? Since he has said that, it shows that he has absolute confidence. Don't worry too much here, just watch the show. Shui Wanren, deputy head of Guangming Academy, put his arms around his chest and said calmly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 3866. It's already like this now, just calm down and stabilize your mentality leisurely. Ah. That's true. My apprentice follows me. He can't be at a disadvantage. Taishaji nodded, and then gave himself a psychological hint in his heart. Why? It's not interesting. Fang Fan is about to start pretending again. It's this routine again. Bai Piao curled her lips, then yawned, and said with a look of nothing to do. Got used to. At the moment it feels like there is nothing to pursue. Mentally seems quite stable. Brother Bai Piao, why are you so listless? Brother Fang Fan is competing in faith, isn't your chance to make a fortune here? Zhou Qiuyao flew over from a distance, and then secretly reminded. Get rich. Bai Piao's heart moved slightly, and suddenly his eyes lit up. Careless. Before, why didn't I think of this before? Yes. Yes. Kid Fang Fan will definitely win. In this way, I can open a gambling market that is sure to make a profit without losing money. Good guy, if you say it this way, don't I want to get a large amount of God stone fragments? Bai Piao licked his lips, and while talking, his breathing became rapid, everything was kept silent. With such a state of mind, let alone tell anyone, he felt extremely excited all of a sudden. What I want is this feeling. Very real and very relevant. Gradually, my thoughts surged to the extreme. When you have something to do, you won't feel bored. Even, I feel that life is colorful. Bai Piao. Don't mess around. Uncle G glanced at Bai Piao, couldn't help but glared and said. Speaking of which, Grand Uncle G is also his nominal disciple, but compared with Fang Fan, the difference is too great. At that time, they all worshipped under his command on the same day, but now, things have changed too much. The more you think about it, the deeper your feelings become. Master, you can't be too partial. Fang Fan is your apprentice, so I am not. You are like this every time, and you are so eccentric every time. How can this work? Master, you gave Fang Fan all of your wealth. This kid has everything, especially the fragments of the divine stone. But I can't, I'm the type that grandma doesn't love and uncle doesn't love. Now that we've reached this point, there's nothing else to say, isn't that what's going on? Hey, I can only rely on my own efforts. You said, if I don't engage in gambling to make money, then I must starve to death. Master, you are eccentric, but you can't go too far. Bai Piao held his head high and held his chest high, while talking, the expression of emotion on his face was beyond words. You. Why? I say one word, you have 10 sentences waiting for me. Forget it. Whatever. You can do whatever you want. Let me tell you, there has never been a sure win bet in this world. You kid knows every day that you engage in these crooked ways, and you will regret it sooner or later. You kid, think about it for yourself. I won't say anything more than that. Grand Uncle G waved his hand, then said helplessly. Yes, yes, yes. I know, I know. Master, I found that you have become too conservative since retreating. Why? You weren't like this before. Why do you keep thinking about obscene development now? A man is not rich without windfall, and a horse is not fat without night grass. Master, don't you know this truth? If you are always sticking to those rules and face, when will you get rich? Look at this wave of me covering all the fragments of the God stone in their hands. Bai Piao narrowed his eyes, used both hands and feet, and then walked towards the distance. With such a good opportunity, it makes no sense not to join in. How unfortunate would it be to miss this? In this heart, there must be a steel yard, isn't it? But whenever you encounter such an excellent opportunity, you must seize it, and immediately launch a full-scale sprint. Everyone. Opening. Soon, Lord Wangtu, the first-class saint in the Temple of the Light Alliance, will compete with Fang Fan, a young player from the Guangming Academy. Guess everyone, who will win? Bet, bet. No deception. It must be no deception. The odds of winning and losing are 1 to 2. There is no middleman to make the difference. Brothers. Come on. Come on and place your bets. I have Guangming Academy behind me as a support, and I will definitely give you cash if I lose. Whether you can double your capital depends on this experience. Fight. 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 Bai Piao suddenly became excited, yelled, and then swayed back and forth in front of him. While speaking, the eyeballs couldn't help but swell up completely. Star core. Shards of Godstone. One counts as one, hand them all over. Otherwise don't try to run. When it comes to opening the market, Bai Piao is definitely the first one here. At this moment, because of Bai Piao's roar, many people trembled. At this moment, they each looked at each other and looked around in surprise. Looking at it, it is indeed quite exciting. At least, after glancing in place, it feels a little different. My good fellow, it's true that everything in the world can be opened. This is the beginning. Tisk. Invincible. Looking at this thing is very exciting. Speaking of which, if it were a competition of faith, who do you think would win? Hee, this is not obvious, do you need to think about it? It must be the Saint Wangtu. No matter how you say it, You are the first-class saint of the Temple of the Alliance of Light, okay. There is no comparison between these two. This gap is simply not too big. This Fang Fan doesn't seem to be an ordinary person, if not, he wouldn't have raised this contest directly. Hey! Young man! It's normal to be ignorant. One by one, they seem to be full of blood. They feel that they are the savior, and they feel that they can follow the wind and take off. In fact, to put it bluntly, they are just wasting their time. At this time, a sand sculpture just came over to open the market. What a great opportunity. Go over and squeeze his wool. Aren't you afraid that this is a trap? Trap? What kind of trap? Do you think that Saint Wang will choose to give in or endure at this time? Thinking too much, okay, didn't you see the posture just now? I almost went straight to it. In this situation, don't you need to say anything? In fact, everyone understands it. Hey! Using their grievances, we can follow suit. I think this is a good thing. Invincible, directly invincible. Okay, stop talking nonsense, go and grab the wool. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 3867. In fact, judging from the audience, everyone believed in Wang to more. After all, he is a first-class saint in the Temple of the Alliance of Light. It is normal for him to have a sense of trust because of his identity. From a popular point of view, it does have this capital. As the first-class saint of the Temple of the Alliance of Light, the faith is naturally not bad, right? Anyway, how could he still lose to a brat? So if you really place a bet, you are basically betting without thinking. Wouldn't it be nice to throw out the chips casually and earn a chance to double your winnings? As for whether Bai Biao is stable or not, this is not a problem. Isn't the Guangming Academy behind him as a support point? Behind the Guangming Academy is the Temple of the Alliance of Light. With such a large family fortune, is it impossible to backtrack? In this way, basically there is nothing to think about, and the whole person looks very calm. Thoughts are flying, everything is silent. According to the established rhythm, basically there is no problem. Give me 20 fragments of the Divine Stone, and buy the Saint Wangtu to win. I'll also buy Saint Wangtu to win, 100 pieces of Divine Stone. And I also support Wang Disciple Saint. The sand sculptures have come to send the fragments of the God Stone, there is no reason not to continue. Up and up. Squeeze the dealer's wool to the end. Excited shouts swept in place, and the popularity around Bai Biao handicap was particularly high. For a moment, the whole person's thoughts exploded. Needless to say other things, with such awareness and feeling in place, I can tell who I am excited about. Invincible, directly follow invincible. That sense of excitement cannot be expressed clearly in a few words. All of a sudden, the crowd gathered in place, and then rushed over with a surge. Excited heart, trembling hands, invincible now. Bai Biao always had a smile on his face. Get rich. This wave made a fortune. At the moment, the eyeballs are fluttering wildly, all kinds of thoughts are concentrated in the heart, and the sound of breathing is extremely rapid. Stimulate. Now this seems really exciting. But at this moment, for Fang Fan and Wang Tu, the moment has directly entered the tug of war. The competition of faith is about to begin. Of course, all this depends on the reaction of the bright Popuan Hanlin. If this person feels uncomfortable, all this will be stopped immediately. Right now, the situation will continue to be stable, and there must be no slack in the slightest. Your Majesty the Pope. I want to teach this kid who doesn't know the heights of the sky and the earth. If he wants to compete in the power of faith, it's better to fulfill him directly, so that he can know what cruelty is. Hey hey! Wang Tu, the first-class sage of the Temple of the Alliance of Light, was speaking, and the brilliance in his eyes gathered in all directions. As he spoke, his body trembled more and more, and the surging mood in his heart exploded to the extreme. Stimulate. This wave feels really exciting. Immediately invincible. The rhythm becomes clearer, and the consciousness gradually clears up. Interesting. Bright Popuan Hanlon narrowed his eyes, and a faint smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Living in a high position, he is too lonely every day, but he has no interest in many things. The Pope of Light has always had a feeling of being too cold at a high place. If there is such an interesting thing in front of him at this moment, he will naturally not refuse. Not only will they not refuse, but they will try their best to praise them. For a moment, the whole body felt that extreme sense of relaxation. Comfortable, more graceful. It is more than words. According to the established rhythm, it is quite comfortable. My mind is full of thoughts, my consciousness is chaotic, and the rhythm is stabbing forward frantically. This is the truest state of mind. Since you all have the idea of competing in your beliefs, the Pope will naturally not disturb your interest. Then start deploying the great formation of faith. I also really want to see if your belief in the gods of light has changed. As a member of the light camp, you must trust the gods of light unconditionally. I hope you won't let me down. Especially you Saint Wang, as the first-class saint of the Temple of the Alliance of Light that I single-handedly promoted. If there is a problem with your beliefs, I can only go to the gods of light to plead guilty. Presumably, you shouldn't let me down, right? The cold snort swept across, and while speaking, the corners of his mouth raised silently, everything was kept silent. Feeling it this time, it is quite interesting. It's interesting, let's talk to someone. Now, just follow the established rhythm. For the rest, no problem. Of course not. Please rest assured, Your Majesty, Wang, I can guarantee with my life that my belief in the gods of light has never changed. Wang too slapped his chest loudly, and the arrogance on his face was beyond words as he spoke. While talking at the moment, he held his head high and his chest high, looking extremely proud. Not much else to say, what is displayed at the moment is probably such a gesture. Very real and very clear. The sweep is in place, and it is real. In fact, although the amount of time you support in the belief formation is related to your essential beliefs, it is also related to your cultivation and combat power to a certain extent. Especially those priests who will accept the influence of faith in the temple, they have an acquired affinity for the power of faith, so they can persist for a longer time. For the priests of the Temple of the Alliance of Light, even if they cast aside the so-called gods of light, as long as they don't show it on the bright side, the power of faith will not make any special moves. All in all, the clergy of the Temple of the Alliance of Light naturally have an advantage when entering the faith formation to compete for faith. As far as Wang Tu is concerned, he is even more confident. What a big deal. Not a big problem. He. Fang Fan, this brat, is doomed. At first, I was thinking about how to kill this kid openly, but I didn't expect this kid to deliver the butcher knife himself. Since this is the case, there is nothing to say. This is basically the case. If you want to die yourself, then I can only fulfill you. Die. Go straight to death. I really want to see how you are going to die. Whirring. The sound of inhalation gathered in all directions, and Wang Tu's heart was extremely restless at this moment. The murderous aura has almost spilled out. According to the rules established between the two, whoever loses in the competition of faith will directly judge himself on the spot. This matter has already set the tone. As for the others, there is naturally nothing to say. In the end, it was just a state of bloody battle to the end. Nothing to be afraid of, nothing to worry about. When the time comes, just follow the all-out decisive battle. Thousands of thoughts, confused consciousness, Everything is silent. Stimulation gradually flutters. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 3868. Fang Fan is a bastard. Don't be impulsive. If you feel pressure, forget it, don't compare. It's okay to suffer some loss of face. The bastard Wang Tu is now a strong demigod. He has been in the temple of the Alliance of Light for tens of thousands of years, and he is naturally tainted with the power of faith of the gods of light. So he must be very dominant in the belief formation. If you are a little careless, there will be problems. Have you considered this? What if something goes wrong? At that time, there will be no chance of repenting. You must think about this matter. Don't slack off. You really can't slack off. Shui Wanren, deputy head of Guangming Academy, is still a little worried at this moment, and is making the final warning at this moment. At this time, it should not be underestimated. A little carelessness, the full plate is over. This thing is not just for fun. If something goes wrong, it will really collapse. The situation was chaotic, but there was nothing left. Don't worry, Deputy Palace Master, since I proposed a competition of faith, I naturally have enough self-confidence. It's not a loss to be able to eradicate Wang Tu by taking advantage of the trend. Otherwise, this guy has been making noise, which will also affect his mentality. Fang Fan shrugged, suddenly felt drowsy for a while, and then couldn't help but yawned, presently acting as if he could do whatever he wanted and calmly. It seemed so natural from beginning to end. Overall, it's not a big problem. Small problems, all small problems. It's good to be clear about this kind of thing in your heart, and don't worry about other things. Fang Fan, what are you going to do? I feel a lot of malicious eyes staring at me and Shen Qiu. Is our existence causing you trouble? Or we'd better leave first. Shen Qiu and I are members of the Protoss after all, so it's normal not to be accepted by them. Although I don't know what you are all talking about, I can still understand their eyes. On the side, Kathy frowned, and she couldn't help feeling deeply while talking. This is no small matter. If there is a little problem, it will be completely over. The current rhythm must be stable, so as not to have any special malfunctions. Difficult to go to the blue sky. Fine. It has nothing to do with you. It was my former enemy. I'll just deal with it. Obey, wait for me to come back. Before I come back, don't just go with others. Fang Fan patted Kathy on the shoulder, while talking, then nodded silently, his eyes flickered, everything was in silence. If he didn't even have this bit of generosity, wouldn't everything just go to waste? Not much else to say, the current state of mind naturally needs to be fully stabilized. In this way, the rhythm can also collapse. Overall, this is the most important thing. Be safe, it's better than anything. I know. I'm sure I won't walk around. But you also have to be careful. I don't want anything to happen to you. You, don't worry me. If something happens to you, I will kill all those people. Then I will commit suicide again. Kathy gritted her silver teeth, then said firmly. This fiery temper. The corner of Fang Fan's mouth twitched, and he couldn't help laughing bitterly. Fang Fan stretched out his hand, patted Kathy's head lovingly, then turned and left. Yo. It's really a concubine's love. Why? Can't bear it. It's going to take you so long before going into battle. Men really have such virtues. I've seen it through. Snort. WTF. Men don't have a good thing. They're all bastards who love the new and dislike the old. Chu Sisi didn't know what was wrong, anyway, seeing Kathy and Fang Fan being so close, she felt very upset in her heart, and even felt extremely disappointed. At this moment, his eyes flickered slightly, his thoughts were in a mess in his mind, and he didn't know what to say for a while. The more I think about it, the more chaotic it becomes, and the more I think about it, the worse I feel. All kinds of messy rhythms are about to crush and explode the whole head. Disaster. Too difficult. It is more than words. Fang Fan smiled helplessly. Okay. You stay there too. Wait me back. Fang Fan stretched out his hand, and patted the heads of Chu Sisi and Xiangfei before it was over. Women are creatures that are sometimes magical. If you don't comfort him well, there will be big problems. At this time, at least the backyard can't catch fire. With the support of the bright Pope Yuan Hanlin, the faith formation was quickly built. It gradually began to overflow with the power of faith. At the same time, there was an extraordinarily holy beam of light in the air that was attacking the core of the Xinjiang formation. This holy beam is actually the prototype of the power of faith. At this moment, the intensity of the power of faith in the faith formation is getting higher and higher. If a cultivator of the Dark Temple walked in at this moment, he would be completely wiped out by the Xinjiang formation in minutes. This thing is so amazing. Tisk. Brother Yuan, you have such a grand event in the Temple of the Alliance of Light, why didn't you invite me to watch the ceremony? Interesting. Really interesting. The formation of faith has been built. Brother Yuan, your Temple of the Light Alliance is really proud of countless heavens. Such a young boy can actually challenge the first-class saint in your temple. This scene is extremely contrasting. But I have to say, it's really interesting, very interesting. Not bad, quite good. Big laughter gradually gathered in place, and while talking, the smile on the corners of his mouth was fully displayed. Needless to say about other things for the time being, such a state of mind followed by a full burst of ideas, and the sense of ritual gradually strengthened. Immediately afterwards, an extremely surging momentum swept over directly. The visitor was wearing a black robe, with a ferocious face, a strong body, and a strong sense of majesty. It seems that even a little approach can be suppressed by this majestic momentum. Mo2. The Pope of the Dark Temple, Mo2. Why did he come here? He didn't come here to find fault, did he? Good guy, is our Temple of the Alliance of Light and the Temple of Darkness going to fight again? You ask me this, who the hell am I asking? This situation looks a bit bad anyway. If you are a little careless, it will be over. Hold on, be sure to hold on. If there is a deviation, it will be finished. Hee hee, what's so scary about this thing? I really don't understand. Are you a little too nervous? It's all small problems, isn't it? Stay alive, you must stick to it. If you can hold on, do you still need to talk nonsense? The key is that the situation is wrong, and you can't hold on. Get ready for battle. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 3869. When they saw Pope Mo2 coming from the Dark Temple, everyone in the Temple of the Alliance of Light seemed quite nervous. At this moment, they each looked at each other, and then their eyes trembled slightly, followed by many actions. A little carelessness, the whole game is lost. Once the rhythm cannot be stabilized, the consciousness will completely collapse. Immediately, everyone in the Temple of the Alliance of Light raised their weapons and aimed directly at the Dark Pope. What does this mean? Pope Yuan, is this the way you treat guests in the Temple of the Alliance of Light? That's not very polite. In my opinion, you'd better put away your weapons. Otherwise, if one hand is itchy, they will all be killed. Ha 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 ha. The dark Pope Motu laughed wildly, and then a strong aura swept in place, knocking back everything in front of him like an overwhelming mountain. Followed by walking forward on his own, his eyes flickered from time to time, his thoughts gathered here, and he said everything to someone. The mood is very delicate, the idea is very real, and the rhythm is very calm. Stay back. When Pope Yuan Hanlin of the Light spoke, everyone in the Light camp looked at each other, and then began to back away quietly. Pope Motu, what's the matter with me? Snored. This time against the Protoss, although our Temple of the Alliance of Light has temporarily formed an alliance with your Temple of Darkness, it seems that the relationship between us has not yet reached the point where we can talk and laugh. If Pope Motu has nothing to do, he should also step down. Bright Pope Yuan Hanlin's face was cold, his eyes trembled slightly, while talking at the moment, his eyes shone with a different kind of brilliance, as if he wanted to completely wipe out everything in front of him. In such a mood, let's talk to someone. Very real and very clear. Rhythmic, gradually becoming clear. Consciousness is slowly becoming more sober. Ha ha ha. Pope Yuan really is a nobleman who forgets things. Didn't I just say that? I'm here to watch the ceremony. This competition of faith can't be seen anywhere. Especially when such a proud son of heaven competes with the first-class saint of your Light Alliance temple. This scene is more conscious. Just follow the established rhythm. Interesting. Really interesting. Not bad. Very good. A loud laugh sounded, as if it wanted to completely sweep away everything around it. The dark Pope Motu didn't regard himself as an outsider at all, and then walked over straight away, looking very casual. Bright Pope. This wave is really speechless. It hurts to look at it. What is this all about? Playful, still entangled? What kind of trouble do you want? Rhythmic, can you stop for a while? Bright Pope Yuan Hanlin looked ugly. But the matter had come to this point, he couldn't say anything, he just stood there indifferently, without saying a word. Rhythm, collapse on the spot. For the rest, I don't want to say more. That's basically it. Mess. Chaotic. I don't even know what's going on. Pope Motu likes to watch it, so just watch it. After all, in terms of faith, our Temple of the Alliance of Light has always been superior. The belief in your dark temple is too scattered. Bright Pope Yuan Hanlin couldn't help but sneer. This is honest. Generally speaking, there are really not many people who defected from the Temple of the Alliance of Light, and the clergy of the Temple of the Alliance of Light also look dignified and pious outside. To put it bluntly, this thing is actually a hypocrite. As for the priests of the Dark Temple, they are more inclined to the type of happy and enmity. Generally speaking, what they think and do is more straightforward, that is, they don't bother to involve you with what is there or not. In this case, they felt a little uncomfortable, and they might have rebelled directly out of the Dark Temple. This is determined by the special interest between the Temple of Darkness and the Temple of the Alliance of Light. Facing the sarcasm from the Light Pope Yuan Hanlin, the Dark Demon Emperor Motu yawned and didn't take it seriously at all. Why? What's wrong with that? Expel all those who are disloyal to the Dark Temple first, and what remains will be purer. Could it be that they are all fake like your Temple of the Light Alliance? Then if something happens, you will fly separately in the face of catastrophe. What is the use of such waste? The waste that we don't want in the Dark Temple seems to like to run towards your Light Alliance temple. This is very interesting. Is it possible that your Temple of the Alliance of Light is still a garbage collection station? The Pope of Darkness speaks every word. Every sentence sounds like that, but after a closer look, it's all malicious. At least this was heard in the ears, and it was inexplicably harsh. This time his brows were furrowed, and his breathing gradually became rapid. All kinds of thoughts were messed up in his heart, and his complexion looked extremely ugly. Such a state of mind, let alone tell anyone. Snort. The benefit of the tongue. Speaking of which, since when did Pope Motu become interested in my Temple of the Alliance of Light? Could it be that there is no one in the Dark Temple? Now it is actually necessary for Pope Motu to come out in person to find out information. Bright Pope and Hanlon continued to confront each other. Masters fight, blood everywhere. Just like now, the more they talk to each other, the more excited they become, and the more they talk, the more excited they become. Gradually, all kinds of consciousness pulled hips, and my brain buzzed. There is no need to say more about the other ones, and they understand everything. The rhythm is very clear. Safe mentality, and who to tell? I'm not interested in those wastes in your Temple of Light Alliance. The only thing I'm interested in is little friend Fang Fan. Ha ha ha. I've heard that Fang Fan is the true pride of heaven. Being able to go in and out of the main city of the Protoss 3 times without any damage, and even get out of the treasure, is invincible. Such a proud son of heaven, he still suffers from slander and suspicion in the Temple of the Alliance of Light. A joke. What a joke. Little friend Fang Fan, I, Motu, make a promise to you. As long as you are willing to join our Dark Temple, you will be the young emperor of my Dark Temple. When Pope Motu of the Dark Temple spoke out, the audience was horrified. Young emperor? The young emperor of the Dark Temple? Isn't this position a bit too high? And this is what the Pope of the Dark Temple said in person, so he won't break his promise. Is Fang Fan really so attractive? This time, not only the melon eaters were stunned, but even Pope Yuan Hanlon frowned, feeling as if he was riding a tiger. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 3870. Young Emperor of the Dark Temple means young Pope. In other words, apart from the Pope, he is the biggest in the Dark Temple. This is higher than the first-class saint in the Dark Temple. Crazy. I think it's really crazy. Such a price is actually offered. My CAO. It's so exciting. Why don't you give me such a condition? This Fang Fan is really invincible. I didn't expect the Dark Pope to be so optimistic about him. My God. It's unimaginable. This person should not be underestimated. Hey. This can be regarded as a burst of anger, right? If it were me, I would just beat him to death. Steady, you must stabilize your mentality, this is the most important thing. Hee. Maybe that Dark Pope is talking nonsense. He did this to fool people. You still have this idea? After all, he is also the Pope of Darkness. Is he talking nonsense here? I think you are really stupid. There is nothing to say, there are such idiots in this world. Since the Dark Pope has spoken, it means that it is not a fake, and now it depends on how Fang Fan responds. Why do I feel that this guy seems a little reluctant? There is something wrong with this. Huh? What do you mean? Is he stupid? Is he still unwilling? What does he want to do? Is it possible that he really wants to go against the sky? I don't know whether it's against the sky or not. Anyway, there must be a small problem here. This rhythm must be followed and controlled. If you are a little careless, you will lose everything. Speaking of which, do you have a hammer for being so excited? Steady your mind, don't get too excited. Isn't that the only thing? As melon eaters, what do we pay attention to so much? Stay here safely, okay? Watching a play, watch a play. Muttering voices from the surroundings followed, all kinds of excited sounds gathered in an all-round way, the words were in place, and the thoughts were completely messed up in the mind. The more I think about it, the more profound my feelings become at this moment. The Dark Pope Motu confronted Fang Fan. Fang Fan raised his eyebrows slightly, then shrugged his shoulders indifferently, with a calm expression. Got used to. This rhythm has long been used to. Now it is basically difficult to make any waves in my heart. Overall, the rhythm is relatively stable and comfortable. Thousands of thoughts, confused consciousness, everything is silent. According to such a rhythm, it is extremely comfortable. As for the others, there is no need to worry too much. Just calm down. Your Majesty the Pope. Did you see that? This Fang Fan really hooked up with the Dark Camp. Not only does he have an ambiguous relationship with the Protoss, but now he is fine, and his relationship with the Dark Camp is also so messy. Your Majesty the Pope, you have to guard against it now. Your Majesty, you need to stabilize the overall situation. Your Majesty the Pope, this son must never stay here again. Wang Tu, the first-class saint in the Temple of the Alliance of Light, his eyes lit up, and the corners of his mouth rose as he spoke. The sound of breathing at the moment also gradually became rapid, and the state of mind at this moment fluttered silently. The more I think about it, the more excited I become, and the more I think about it, the more surging I get. He felt that this was another good opportunity to kill Fang Fan. Even if he couldn't be killed directly, he could still be properly given eye drops. In this way, he can feel more relaxed in his heart. It's just that Wang Tu is really stupid. Is it appropriate to say such a thing on such an occasion? Not only is it inappropriate, but it also makes you look small and extremely ignorant. At a glance, that's about it. Ignorance to the extreme, what else can I say? Shut up. The Pope Guangming took a deep breath, then glared at Wang Tu, and said in a bad mood. How ignorant they are. Can't you just follow along and stop for a while? Ah. This. Wang Tu was suddenly reprimanded by the Guangming Pope Yuan Hanlin, and he couldn't react for a while. At this moment, his eyes jumped slightly, the corners of his mouth trembled, and all his thoughts were expressed in silence. The whole person was immediately numb. It's too abrupt. Thoughts are too messy. What should I say? Ha ha ha. Why is the Pope of Light so sullen? You are the first-class saint of the Temple of the Light Alliance, it is really interesting. All kinds of words are very interesting. It seems that your Temple of the Alliance of Light wants to reject little friend Fang Fan. So our Dark Temple received it, just right. That's it, I would like to thank the Pope of Light for fulfilling it. Loud laughter followed, and the Dark Pope strode forward and said a few words. It sounds like I feel my brain trembling inexplicably. This shit is clearly disgusting, people. Bright Pope Yuan Hanlin's complexion became even uglier. The restless heart broke out at this moment, and for a while, I didn't know how to open up for it. Totally broke. Snort. Fang Fan is the proud son of my Light Alliance temple, and has nothing to do with your Dark Temple. Such a proud son of heaven, it's too late for my Temple of the Light Alliance to fully cultivate, so how could it be poached by your Temple of Darkness? Pope Motu. I advise you to stop having this daydream. This daydream is meaningless. The cold snorts gathered in all directions, and the bright Pope Yuan Hanlin directly blocked the words of the Dark Pope. While talking at the moment, the coldness on his face was beyond words. It is more than words. According to the established rhythm, it is basically the same. All right. Let's quickly compete with faith. Fang Fan. The Pope is very optimistic about you, I hope you don't let the Pope down. It is a great honor for our Temple of the Alliance of Light to produce a proud son of heaven like you. The laughter gradually became clearer, and the bright Pope Yuan Hanlin had to make some gestures now. At the very least, you have to show your own attitude. Otherwise, wouldn't it appear that the Temple of the Alliance of Light is too hip? At that time, the face will not be as simple as swelling. Thoughts were slowly turning in his mind, and various thoughts gradually increased. Thank you for the praise from the Pope of Light. Fang Fan shrugged, and then said a few words casually. People have delivered the story to here, after all, they want to give them a little bit of sweetness. Since he still wanted to hang around in the Temple of the Alliance of Light, he naturally couldn't offend the Pope of the Temple of the Alliance of Light too much. Appropriately, it is also necessary to make people feel a certain spirit. On this point, Fang Fan has always been in excellent control.